Hey guys, it's Graham. What's cracking? If you follow the Substack, you'll see, what was it? Probably Saturday. I wrote up a review of Fantastic Four First Steps. I had a short route on Friday, came home pretty early, excuse me, and my son wanted to see it, so took him to see it and had a great time. Man, I'm really hitting it out of the park at the movie theaters this year. Fantastic Four didn't have to be all that good to be better than the last three movies. That said, the first two, the ones from '05 and '07, like they're campy and everything, but they were never trying to be more serious than they were. Like they weren't ever trying to be as hefty as any of the Spider-Man movies, and certainly not as gritty as any of the X-Men movies from that era. They were fine for what they were. And they've retained their watchability. Like we watched those recently with the kids. They're fine. The 2015 one was trying too hard to be, angsty Ultimates, X-Men, and whatever. This one, since it's part of the MCU, it's got a whole bunch of other stuff attached to it and writing on it. But I really liked several things about it. One of them was that I didn't have to watch six other things to know what was going on. I think it's safe to say that experiment failed during the early days of the Disney Plus era. They're still going to do streaming shows, and it'll still connect to the larger MCU, but I think they've learned not to make it so heavily reliant going forward. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what the response overall is to this one on that side of things. But it was nice to just walk into a movie and not have to know a whole bunch of other stuff. This one did a speed run at the beginning of their origin, like, 4 years ago they went into space and something happened and they came back and now they're heroes and we love them. It was parallel to what they did with Superman. You don't need to show us an origin story for these guys. They've been in the mainstream for so long that audiences just know. You can do, like I said, Batman year 2, Superman year 3, Fantastic Four year 4. Hey. You could do a quick highlight of it. It's like James Bond. Everybody knows who James Bond is. They don't reiterate it every single time you watch a James Bond movie. And so the question then becomes, what's the story arc for this individual episode? First Steps is one of those double entendre things. It's, hey, this is our first step into the MCU, but it's also they're having a baby and the baby's going to have his first steps. In the comics, Reed and Sue have a baby named Franklin, and he's super ultra powerful. And the movie starts here with Franklin and Sue. Like she takes a pregnancy test and she finds out, like, hey, she's got a bun in the oven, and they're really stoked about that. I guess they had some fertility issues or something at one point. Here we are. They're living in the Baxter Building. They're riding high. Everything's good. And then a Silver Surfer comes to Earth and says, "Hey, Galactus is coming. Enjoy these last couple of moments. He's going to destroy your world. The end." And everybody turns to the Fantastic Four. They're like, "Well, this is your job. Save us." And they're like, "Okay, well, we see some signals in space. We're going to fly out there. We're going to find the source of this signal, and we'll go take care of this Galactus fellow. Heyo." If you've seen the trailers, you can see the aesthetic. Like it looks very 1960s. I wasn't paying too close attention to newspapers or anything like that to see what the date was. I don't feel like it was overtly part of the backdrop. They were just going for a particular aesthetic, and it was really cool. I liked the costumes, the cars, just the way that they depicted all of that. The visual language of it was excellent. Sometimes they had higher tech. Other times it was like, hey, we're taking Herbie the robot with us to space, and they pop out one programming cassette for home, and they put another programming cassette for space so that the robot knows what to do on the spaceship. Just little things like that show that they put thought and effort into it and made it work. But anyway, they go out to space, they meet Galactus, and he's like, "Yeah, I eat planets because I'm hungry and I need energy, but I detect that you two superpowered people, Reed and Sue, have a baby, and that baby's going to be mega powerful, and if you let me eat the baby, I'll never have to eat another planet." And obviously, as a parent, that's too high of a price to pay, so they have to figure out another way to defeat Galactus. That's going to be a mental thing. That's going to be Reed's problem. So his arc is, crap, I have to solve a problem that I'm emotionally invested in, and I've got to imagine things that are terrifying to consider with a child in play. For all of the flack that Pedro Pascal gets, people say like, "Oh, he's in everything." Like he's in a lot of stuff, sure. And I'm not like a huge fan of Pedro Pascal. I'm not a Pedro Pascal hater. I just when he got announced for this role, I was like, I don't think that he is Reed Richards. He brought his own sensibilities to it, and I think the way that he executed on the role was really good. So, hey, he got cast for the role. Nothing you can do about it. He's not exactly Jan Griffith, but he may not completely look the part of Reed from the comics. I don't think Reed Richards ever had a mustache, but hey, that could be wrong. I haven't read 60 years of Fantastic Four comics. But he did good. Sue is in charge of the Future Foundation, and that's a lot of, it's like a pseudo-UN thing, like, hey, we all come together to solve world problems and stuff, and she gets a lot of blowback. Everybody's like, well, hey, just, give up the baby, otherwise we all die. It's like, hey, abort your child for our well-being. No, don't do that. I think Johnny and Ben they had plenty to do on their own, but they had a little bit less in the realm of arcs to follow. And my friend Bookstore Thor, who wasn't very high on the movie, I read his write-up of it after he saw it. I disagreed with a fair amount of it, but I will give him credit for this point here. And this is one where the director of the movie really limited himself. They wanted to write Johnny for modern audiences and not have him be a womanizer. And so you didn't really see him dating or anything. He flirts a little bit with Shala Ball, with the female Silver Surfer. But when you aggressively limit yourself like that, you also miss functional storytelling opportunities. And I think there is a difference between a womanizer and a playboy. Johnny's a globetrotter. He's a bit of a model. He's obviously a hotshot and a hothead. And having a revolving door of girlfriends is part of his character. And they didn't have to have him necessarily denigrating those women or treating them cheaply for him to just be a guy who goes on dates with lots of different women. And this is the point that Bookstore Thor brought up. In the movie, Johnny solves a linguistic problem while not really having multilingualism be in his wheelhouse. Johnny's not the smart guy who solves smart problems smartly. That's Reed's wheelhouse. But if you show Johnny saying like, oh yeah, I had a girlfriend in Paris, and I had a girlfriend in Russia, and I had a girlfriend in all these places, like I had to learn how to pick up pieces of language here and there, and because of that, I learned how to solve linguistic problems, and that's how he ends up figuring out Shala Ball's language. He figures out her story, and in an ultimate Chud move, he's able to figure out how to make her feel guilt for her actions and express accountability. I thought the right-wing bros, I thought we were all about that, right? Women and accountability, right? She feels guilt for her own actions throughout the history of the movie, and she comes in clutch at the end there. I won't spoil it beyond that. So I'll give you a point there. There are people who I think just continue to complain about movies because after so many years, that's their reflex and that's what they're committed to. But Thor gets the benefit of the doubt for me. He actually puts thought into this stuff. So I'll give him that one. And then Ben, let's see, Ben was a really good character. Ebon Moss-Bachrach played him well, but he didn't have much in the way of an arc. He didn't go through that thing where people didn't like him, and then he saves the world, and they're like, okay, we like you now, even though you're weird and ugly. It isn't actually the 60s anymore, and a story like that wouldn't really resonate with people. And I think they explored that well enough with Michael Chiklis in the first two. So, but they all come together as a team, and it's about solving the problem, not just as a team, but the Fantastic Four, leading the world to solve a worldwide problem together, a threat that could end everything. It was very family oriented. There was there were great moments of heroism and sacrifice. There was even a part where Johnny thought he was going to have to bite the bullet to defeat Galactus, and he gets on the comms as he's about to go make his little suicide run, and he's like, "Hey, tell Franklin Uncle Johnny loves him," and he goes and takes his shot. You'll have to see how that pans out. And on that note, Galactus, man, like they actually did Galactus right. He wasn't just some scary cloud like he was in '07. And I didn't find out until later, like it wasn't just some CGI mocap thing. They had the actor, Ralph Ineson, in a practical costume. They dressed him up with some CGI and stuff later, but the sequence with Galactus actually physically walking around New York City trying to find Franklin, uh, it was so cool looking. They all got to take their shot at him. Johnny did, Ben did, Franklin did, Sue did, and like they each landed blows on him. But this dude is the size of a skyscraper, and it wasn't until they all combined their powers together as a family that they were able to solve this what's the word, cosmic problem. I don't know. I'm losing my vocab here as I come to the end of the points that I want to make. But this was great. I want more. Like, I don't want to get back into the MCU, but if they're going to keep making movies like this that are 95% standalone, and then they can just occasionally do the crossovers to, reward the devoted viewers of the series, I think that would be a way to go to kind of satisfy everybody. Like, we don't all want to follow it along like we did in the 2010s. That audience might not be there anymore. But so don't make every single movie a massive crossover event. Just have a couple of crossovers here and there, and give everybody else something that they can step into, enjoy, and step out of, and go about their lives. Or maybe I'm just in my 40s now and I don't have time for that crap. Anyway, fun movie. Go see it. Drive safe. See you out there.